lords, my ladies, and everybody else here not sitting on a cushion.
Well, we have a rather curious subject this morning. To study our heritage from the past is not simply a waste of time, because most of that heritage is still with us.
I think it's important to live life with a knowledge of its mystery and of your own mystery. And it gives life a new zest, a new balance, a new harmony to do this.
The human story is much more complicated and much more mysterious than we've been taught. We need to wake up as a human species. We need to become our own leaders. This is in my view, the next step forward.
When people find out what it is that's ticking in them, they get straightened out.
We can win the fight, but we can win a little every day. And every day when we make the smallest victory, there will be a little more of happiness and a little less of pain. Every day, one step forward, even a small decision, will strengthen us for another one tomorrow. And gradually these right decisions will bring us enlightenment and companionship in the spiritual adventure of existence.
And we're back.
We're back.
Happy 2020.
Dude, I can see.
It's been a good time.
It's a bad dad joke. Sorry.
That was the worst. Man,
I'm rusty, man.
Fuck, it's been weeks since we had a conversation.
Really
I don't know if I can remember how to do it. Well, welcome back, everybody. It's Wayfinder, and I'm Adam,
And I am JC.
and we're happy to join you guys again. We had a lot of people reaching out to us. It's been a great holiday, and everybody's like, "Where the hell are the podcasts?" And we've been busy. We got families and shit.
Mm-hmm. Holidays, man.
Yeah, you had a kid.
Yes.
I just now remember that.
I had a child right before Christmas. A month early.
Human child.
Yeah, human child.
Yeah.
Human child. And
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Little Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. That's his real fucking name.
And he's very, very cool. He's very healthy. Mom's doing great. And we're just in the throes of a 1-month-old baby at home. So I had to take a little time off,
Are you sleeping?
More than Mom.
Yeah, I bet.
We're trying to do this thing right,
Yeah.
So I hate to mention any of this, but we chose certain vaccinations. We were like, no, which is most of them.
Yeah.
We didn't do circumcision, which has been a point of contention in the family. And then also we do crazy hippie stuff like no bottles and cloth diapers and
Fucking weirdo.
adding extra work because the world is a convenient place and you don't have to do it this way.
Yeah, convenience isn't always the right path, right?
But dude, he's happy, he's healthy. We're comfortable with the work that is entailed in it, and through that, it's been a beautiful experience.
That's good.
They tell you you're tired when you have a baby, and it's. I adopted my first child, so I missed about a year and a half in. So I missed 1-week-old baby crying all the time, needing to be fed all the time, constantly being tended, and the delirium that comes with that. It's a different kind of tired.
Yeah.
So
it
it's
really is.
It's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, the ongoing sleeplessness thing is a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you're making it. I'm glad you got here. It wasn't an easy path for you guys.
No, it was about 3.5 years.
Yeah. So I just want to bring that up. I mean, it's personal shit for you guys, but y'all are family to us.
And we're an open book about it.
Yeah, well, and I think it's good because there's people out there that are trying to do stuff, trying to make things happen in their family and build a family, and they have challenges, and you guys never gave up on that. I want to dig into that very briefly.
Yeah.
In just a second, but just real quick to kind of throw this out there before we dig in too much further to anything. We're back. The show's here. This is going to be a fucking great episode. I'm really excited about this because number one, we really don't have any time crunch here, so I don't know how long this is going to go, but we're gonna float this thing through, and we've got some cool stuff to catch up on, neat things to talk to you guys about, and also. We're constantly evolving here. Like this show has never been the same. If you guys go back and look at the very first episode that I did in my house, and then I did like 5 or 6 episodes, quit for a few months, and then figured things out differently, evolved. Then you and I started doing it in a studio at my house in a different room, and then it evolved, and now we're here, and we've kind of gone in these like 3-4 month waves of there's one iteration of the show, and then there's like version 2.0, and there's 2.3, and then there's 3.0. This is 2020 is bringing with it a new evolution of the show, and we're always, I think what we're always trying to do is figure out how to be more authentic, right? Like more complete and authentic, right? Because authenticity, requires completion. Like we got to be complete in how we present ourselves. We can't just talk about psychedelics. We can't just talk about.
Just can't talk about everything that we know we have like a full grip on. That's not fair, because the conversations we don't have here in this are oftentimes, beautiful, wonderful conversations, but we tend to not bring them here.
We don't go there because we don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
And the internet is a sketchy place. And you know what? Bring it on.
Yeah,
bring the roast on. I'm not an expert on anything at all, except for that I am an expert on not being an expert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so there's an authenticity that comes with that. And I think that's the next phase in the evolution of this, is that I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know everything about everything that I speak on. But that's the exciting part, is that not everybody is an expert. And I think a lot of people that are listening and the people that I interact with and the users that enjoy the show appreciate that factor. So,
Yeah, we can't just talk about things that we know everything about.
We're figuring out in real time. That's what we've
are.
always said. And that's we're owning that.
Yeah, for sure. And we're normal people, right? Like we have kids, so we talk about parenting. We're fairly spiritual, religious people, so we talk about that. We're kind of history nerds in to our own different degrees. And you're a master chef cook guy. You make amazing food, and it's a big part of your life. It's an art. We're both musicians,
right,
and songwriters, and we have relationships and we have friendships, and we talk about mysticism and shamanism and the mysteries of the world and science and nature and art and music and all that stuff. But we like to watch TV. We like to analyze movies and shows and talk about that. And
if
read
I
books.
had like a niche, that I was going to say that was my thing, it's being human.
Yeah.
Trying to be a good human. That's my niche. Just not
good niche.
Not great at that, but that's where I'm at. I'm in that vein. You're in that vein.
Yeah.
I think everybody else is.
We haven't maybe portrayed that, at all times on the show. I think sometimes we kind of, not intentionally or anything, but we kind of go with what feels right, or what feels the most comfortable, or what feels right, as is laid out by the audience, or by what we think the audience wants to hear. And I think what our audience here wants to experience is they want to sit in the room with us and have a conversation with us and experience this sort of human connection that we always talk about.
Right.
And that means connecting with our truest self.
Well, not everybody can sit. Not everybody has an Adam across the table, right? That I can sit here and like really talk about whatever I want. If I want to go like super woo woo spiritual,
I'm
if I
not
wanna
that
go
hard
into
to find, though.
psychedelics. Like I can sit here and be authentic, and I hope that, and I've noticed with the feedback that I've received, that people appreciate the fact that we're just kind of laying it all out there. I mean, think about what we just went through. It's early January now, mid January. We did the holiday thing. So everybody's getting together, depending on where you're at and what. But most people are somewhere between Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, one of those where it involves bringing in the entire family and putting them into four walls and coexisting.
Yeah.
It's not always the most ideal situation.
Yeah, no, it's not. And it's that kind of stuff I want to bring in here. And so going forward, we're going to be talking a lot more about that kind of stuff, just anecdotes and personal shit that we do, and the struggles of life, the things that we're not good at, as much as the things that we are good at. And something that we're passionate about is movies and TV shows and stuff, and what the lessons we get from those, and the artistic enjoyment that we get from those, the things that we can pull apart.
An indirect message.
Yeah. There's a lot of esoteric messaging in these shows and movies and stuff like that, and some of it's really cool, insightful stuff. Some of it's not as positive, and sometimes you just want to dumb out and watch a show. And if we're not talking about that shit on here, we're not being authentic, because that's what you and I talk about whenever the mic's not on. We do talk about this stuff. We talk about all of it, and so I think going forward, we appreciate so much the audience. The fact that anyone would tune in and listen to two dipshits talk about things is so humbling and gratifying to us. we owe it to everyone to just be authentic and have the same conversations in front of the mic that we do behind the mics. So that's what we're going to give you guys going forward.
Yeah, I don't do New Year's resolutions, but for the
That's
new
a good
phase
one.
of the show and the new year,
Yeah.
it's just,
You're just going to get Adam and JC raw and just fucking what we do. We've been friends for 20 years now, and we've been doing this together for 2 years. And, this is the new iteration. You're going to get the unfiltered, the unbridled, the raw and uncut,
right.
the uncircumcised.
And the feedback is important, so...
Yeah, man, bring it on, and ratings on Apple, like the iTunes. If you can give us ratings and thumbs ups, shares, comments, all that stuff is like super helpful. It's not like an ego thing. It's like really we do this because we believe in the message of the overall message of what we're doing, our shortcomings and our virtues and all that stuff, the lessons we've learned and continue to learn. We think that it'll help people because these things have helped us, and we can get more of this content into more people's hands if we're getting more ratings and thumbs up and stuff. So please don't think that that your effort of sharing a video or a podcast or whatever or even a post from Instagram, it's not wasted. Like that's super super helpful, and it helps us grow. Which leads me to the next very brief thing that I'll touch on is. You can go to wayfinderpodcast.com and you can get all of our stuff. Access to everything is really easy. That's like the easiest way to do it. If you want to share it with somebody, just send them wayfinderpodcast.com. Easy.
It's all there.
It's all there. Everything. Every platform, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, all of it. And very importantly, the Patreon is on there. So you can go to Patreon and support us, and that's really helpful because we're funding this out of our own pocket. We're traveling around the country. We're talking to interesting people. We're trying to do really interesting things. And so getting some support on there. If you're supporting us on Patreon, thank you so much. God bless you. We do have a handful of Patreon supporters. It's a new thing. We haven't promoted a ton till the last few podcasts, but that's really taken off. So we appreciate that so much. And as far as housekeeping goes, is that it?
I mean, that sounds, yeah. That's the
It
pitch.
feels good.
Yeah.
It feels good. It feels like we did everything. So people have been reaching out. They're like, where are the podcasts? And so we have some cool stuff to catch up with you guys on. So we've got 2 podcasts with Jeff Sullivan, the amazing visionary artist and good friend of ours.
Which was a very good time. Great
Yeah,
conversation.
Great conversation. 2 days in a row. We shot podcasts, got a couple hours out of each one, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, and that one is fascinating because, you're talking about a human being who creates visual art that's It's its own thing.
And,
And,
he's
and
like
I
a Picasso or something. It's a whole
I
different kind of art.
don't want to talk too much about it because we do talk for hours on end. But to get inside, climb inside somebody's mind and hang out with them, and then him being so receptive to us, just being curious about it and having a great conversation. It's fascinating, exciting. So
yeah, it was really cool. He's such a good dude. He's like a brother, and I just love him to death. We had a great time, and then right after that. We shot those 2 podcasts, and then he and I flew out to L.A. to go to the Mystic Manor.
Mystic Manor.
To shoot the late-night conscious talk show called Optimistic, and you guys can find that. That thing's hosted and put on by a guy named Brandon Beecham, and Brandon Beecham is he's the real fucking deal. He he's not just a podcast host. He hosts the Positive Head podcast, which is an important thing in our house because like Ashley found that podcast. Like it was like the first thing she found 4 years ago when we started dating and just kind of started going through our awakening. She was looking for a positive, like uplifting podcast. So she just typed in positive, and then Positive Head came up. And then Brandon Beecham's been a part of our life ever since. Really positive, uplifting dude. And he's a real mover and shaker. So like he expanded from the podcast thing, and now he's got this late night talk show that he's funding out of his own pocket, called Optimistic, and he's got this big mansion in Venice, California, right off the beach, and he brings in thinkers and researchers and artists and musicians and stuff like that, and puts on a conscious late night talk show. He does retreats there, like week-long retreats and stuff like that. Does art workshops. In fact, they've got one going on here soon. If you guys are interested, you can reach out to me on Instagram. A friend I made there when we went, his name is Vajra. He's one of the best artists I've ever seen, one of the best painters I've ever seen.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. he's doing a workshop, and we can give you a special discount to his workshop through the show. Just use code word Wayfinder, but I don't have the info on hand. So reach out to me on Instagram.
And we can drop it in the YouTube description.
We'll drop it in the YouTube description or something like that. So anyway, lots of cool things. So we go out to Optimistic. Jeff was the featured artist of the night. So there's a talk show, and they like unveil a painting of Jeff's, and then he's like working on it during the show, and then they brought out an author named Matt Kahn, and Kahn. Matt comes out, and then he's talking to Brandon. They're doing the talk show thing. Fucking really cool little setup. And then they have a musical guest at the end. That was a pretty cool experience.
I imagine.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, it's cool. It's cool because, you know, like cannabis is totally legal in California. And of course, we're here in Texas where, you know, we could still go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
So like every time I land in a place where cannabis is legal, I just get fucking bombed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's it really is. It's like the starving Ethiopian kids. You know, they're starving and then they drop off a bunch of Campbell's soup and they eat themselves to death.
I've told you this, and I'll disclose it real quick. I took my family to Colorado. It's my first time in Colorado, and we passed the state line. My wife is with child, and my daughter's 10, so it's just me. But I'm like, hey, can we stop? As soon as we got in the state, I was like, let me go into one of these dispensaries. And so I walk in. I'm timid. I'm from Texas, you know.
You've never been to a dispensary
No,
before.
never been in one. So I'm standing there, you know, and
This
I'm
was
just
this
like,
summer.
I'm waiting my turn, and they give him the ID. I go back in the room, and everybody's being super nice and friendly. And finally, it's my turn, and I walk up to the guy and I say, "Man, I'm from Texas. I've been in Colorado for about 25 minutes." And he smiles real big, and he's super friendly. He goes, "What can I do for you?" And I was like, "Just give me something mild, you know, like." Something I've been on the wrong end of an edible before, but I'd love an edible and like just like a disposable cart or something. You know, I'm going to Great Wolf Lodge in Colorado Springs. I'm going to a family resort, right? And he goes, "Oh, got you. You need this and you need this, and here are all the flavors." And I said, "Okay, that's great. That's great." I walk out of there. I've got my brown paper sack. Everything's wonderful, right? I'm bebopping along, and we drive another 2 hours, get into Colorado Springs. We get up to the room. And immediately, bathing suits on, we're ready to go. And I said, I'm just going to have like half of one of these gummies real quick, you know. That'll be great. And then, so half a gummy, and then I hit my little disposable cart, and I went sativa, you know, upper.
Yeah,
you know.
You don't want to be into couch.
Right. And so the gummy is going to take its time. So I did a little puff of the pen. And before we hit the elevator,
oh, man.
I am not used to like professionally grown by specialists
and chemically extracted.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm in the elevator just like, oh no, just kind of just starting to get a little bit of that anxiety come on, like I might have done a little too much. But I'm like, it's okay. I'm in Colorado. We get off the elevator, and it's like 7 miles to the water park through a family friendly hotel.
Right.
I end up spending the first 4 hours of our vacation in the water park. I went to the towel person at Great Wolf, and I'm like, can I have like 4? I'm laying on a chair, just completely covered up in towels because I'm cold, but it's like 87 degrees and humid because it's an indoor water park, and I'm dying. I'm everybody there. I'm like, well, everybody's got to be high. We're in Colorado, right? Like,
right.
Everybody's stoned out of their mind. No.
Nobody looks stoned.
Nobody's stoned, and everybody knows I'm stoned. Everybody knows I'm stoned. And that was my baptism into the legal world of marijuana. I was fully unprepared. I did not do my homework. That guy, he went home that night, and his girlfriend or wife or whatever was like, "How was your day?" And she's like, "Mine was good. But I sent some guy packing with the most powerful stuff we have." I was like,
fuck this guy up. Yeah, you may as well just walked in and said, "Yeah, just fuck me up."
Yeah.
Fuck me up.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what I'm doing.
But I have money.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
How can you help me?
Yeah, like a rich white kid to a coke dealer.
Yeah.
I don't know. How much does $1,000 get me?
That'll
get you 8 ball for
sure.
Yeah.
How much is a gram of weed? It's like 65. I can't break 65. Do you have 70? Do you have 80?
Yeah.
I'll make it a fat one. Yeah, no. Yeah. I got had. So going to legal states, that is my experience.
Yeah.
With it. I did California after that, and with you.
Yeah.
And I was much more cautious. I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. I make that mistake because I go through phases where like I smoke weed for a little while, then I don't for a few months, like a couple months on, couple months off sometimes. And start out where I smoke a little bit and then a lot and then not as much. So sometimes I'll catch one of those legal states. Like I'll be on a trip because we travel a lot. So I'll travel when I'm like in an off period. I haven't smoked in like 2 months. And then I just land in LA or Colorado or, Boston or something. And you just show up and you do it, right? You just fuck yourself up,
right?
And you just go take a couple edibles and then rip a vape. Because you forget after 2 months, probably the weed, and you forget, and then you just start ripping a vape pen like it's an e-cig or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden,
now you're down.
You're down. Now you're calling the Uber to pick you up from, the tunnel in Boston at 3 a.m. and you're fucking underneath the river and you feel like you're in a Batman movie or something.
Well, I derailed. Let's get back to the story where you're at the Mystic Manor, and it sounds like...
Well, so basically the nature of this story is that. So we were there. It was me and Jeff, and then we had like our adopted aunt and uncle from Connecticut, Tim and Linda. We talk about a lot. We love them so much. They flew out to come support Jeff, which was awesome. And Linda can't get high because she's a pilot for Delta. Mm-hmm. So she flies internationally to France and Italy and shit. So she can't do anything. So she just has to like witness from afar all of our shenanigans. Mm. And she's got like 10 years before she retires and she can smoke again. So she's kind of babysitting the fucking idiots over here.
Sure.
And we're just, Tim and I particularly, Tim's the fucking coolest guy in the world. And we're just popping edibles. He's like, 55, but he's like my big brother / uncle, right? He's like the cool uncle that you want to have. And we're just getting fucking blitzed, right? He's a photographer. He takes pictures for all kinds of stuff. He's got National Geographic. He's got pictures in the Smithsonian. So like really fucking cool, explored, cultured guy, And I don't know, man. We're just eating handfuls of edibles and going through joint after joint after joint and getting bombed, being reckless teenagers. And we're in this mansion full of all this amazing art and a bunch of really spacey 20-something-year-old people. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we stick out like a sore thumb, right? So first of all, Tim's like 55, Tim and Linda both, and they're wandering around completely oblivious to what's going on with these young people because this place is so like the hippiest place I've ever been.
Yeah, I assume it's a very
a lot of chicks with hairy armpits,
right.
A lot of dudes with skirts, right? So we're pretty liberal people and socially speaking, right? Mm-hmm. But this was a bit of a culture shock to me because this is like LA being the LA of LA, I guess. I don't know. It's something totally different.
I get what you're saying.
And I'm from Texas.
We don't have that here in good old Dallas.
Yeah. It was a really unique situation. I felt a little bit like a fish out of water, but everybody was sweet. I felt kind of like a caveman. Like fucking me, Texas. Like fucking wearing blue jeans and probably had on some boots or something.
Yeah. And you never think that you stand out as a person from Texas until you're the only person.
You're the only Texan there. Yeah. It was a really interesting thing. Whole vegan spread on the buffet and stuff. It was.
Now, has Optimistic started? I know you guys were pre-recording stuff.
Yeah.
Has it?
I don't know. I need to check back in on that. So yeah, they're pre-recording like 6, 7, 8, 10 episodes or something like that, and they're trying to get like YouTube or Netflix or somebody to pick it up. It's a great platform. It's a great for anyone watching or listening to us right now. Like it's a really chill thing. If you know what Gaia is, I know some people really hate Gaia. Some people love it. Whatever. I mean, I'm kind of open-minded and I don't give a shit. I still watch Ancient Aliens. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean. Just to me, it's like loosen up. You know what I mean. It's
right.
Just have a good time. If it's entertaining, it's entertaining. But Optimistic is definitely sort of Gaia-esque.
Well, as somebody who follows Brandon and Positive Head and stuff, I've seen on social media them with shots of recording it and talking with you guys when y'all returned from your trip and stuff. It sounds absolutely fascinating, but I wasn't sure if it had made it out. And the fact that I haven't seen them yet, I don't know if it has.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they're still trying to get some episodes.
Right.
I got Brandon and Robert Grant hooked up, and they're wanting to do an episode. That's going to be really neat to see that happen. So I'm assuming that episode hasn't happened yet. They're both interested. They're still trying to make it happen. It's probably not been released yet. But Brandon's put a lot into it. And that whole production crew there, I met their producer and their set director and all these people. Like they're young people. Like this is like 22 to 28-year-old for the most part. And there were some people who were our age, middle age, or whatever. But
Just passionate individuals.
Passionate, fucking smart, sharp crew really made it happen. It was, I was involved in a History Channel episode a few years ago, and these guys were just as professional and skillful as the History Channel crew that I interacted with.
Very cool.
I was super impressed with them, and all very sweet and on the ball. So that was what we did. We went out there and had a good time. Ran into one of my favorite athletes, Pasha Petkins. He's a parkour athlete. He's like number 1 or 2 or 3 in the world. We were just sitting there chilling, and fucking Pasha Petkins is over there with the dude that runs the Instagram page, Beautiful Destinations.
Mm-hmm.
He got like 13 or 14 million followers, right? And he's over there. The guy's name is Tom, and they got a drone out, and they're just following Pasha around. So I got to hang out with him and get some candids and stuff, have a conversation with him. It was really cool. So it was a beautiful trip. I always loved that. That was that. And we got 2 days of podcasting with Jeff in the wings now.
Yeah.
Ready to release. Yeah.
And a few weeks before that, we did the Align podcast.
Oh yeah.
Talking about the Align method and the new book coming out.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know Aaron Alexander, he's the Align podcast, and he's got a book called The Align Method, just released like the day before Christmas. And we have that podcast coming out too. So right around the same time all of the LA stuff happened, we went down to Austin to the Onnit corporate headquarters.
Yeah,
you guys familiar with Onnit?
This is fantastic because
this is great.
Adam's been cultivating this with Aaron on Instagram. They've aligned posts. They're very interested in each other's content. So with this book coming out, he invites us down. He's going to do this like essentially a social media press junket. That we got to be a part of. And so Adam says, we got to go to Austin. And I said, cool, I love Austin. I'm going to go eat my way through that town.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was on it.
Yeah.
And then here we find ourselves the morning of, we're like, all right, getting ready. We're going to go meet this person. He seems like a nice guy, but, little anxious, little nervous energy. You don't know exactly where you're going. And then he's like, yeah, we got to go to Onnit. And I was like, but like Onnit, the product line, Aubrey Marcus, Joe Rogan, Onnit. Yeah. Oh, thanks for not telling me until that moment in time, because I would have been more nervous. And we find ourselves in Aubrey Marcus's office in what was an interesting space, to say the least. Artifacts everywhere, crazy art.
Aubrey's office is a really fucking cool place.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And this, giant, beautiful man comes out, and he says, Adam, he's shirtless, he's barefoot, he's wearing blue jean cutoff shorts, and he just starts throwing hugs. And
Aaron, he's big fucking teddy bear.
Come on in.
Big beautiful teddy bear.
And we're talking. We're kind of getting ready. He's like, man, I'm doing a lot of these. I'm just gonna go outside and get focused. You guys set up whatever you need. And in the process of that, this other huge man comes in, and we're talking to him. And I'm gonna say huge man. I mean like 6 foot.
Yeah, Kyle's 6. I don't know. I guess he's probably 6 foot 220 or so.
Right.
I mean, he's a bear.
Yeah.
He really is a bear. Kyle,
fanny pack, plaid shorts,
barefoot,
goofy shirt, barefoot, just as nice of a human being as you could ever be.
Cauliflower ears.
Yeah, well, I didn't notice that. So he leaves, and Adam looks at me and he goes, man, Kyle's a really nice guy. And I'm like, he is a nice guy. He's a nice guy. And he's like, yeah, UFC heavyweight champion? That's crazy. And I was like, wait, what? What? He's what? And he's like, yeah. He was
he's a UFC guy. He was in Ultimate Fighter.
I was like, wait, no way. So I've met this guy. He's a nice guy.
That's Kyle Kingsbury.
Yeah, Kyle Kingsbury. Cool. Met him, talked to him. Great. Had a great back and forth. Thought he was great. Then I Google him, and then I'm like, oh, he's famous.
Then you get post intimidation.
Yeah. Then it doesn't matter. I'm not a huge UFC guy. I've watched it plenty of times. I mean, like I was like a Ken Shamrock fan. So it's been a while since I've been in the game.
Ken Shamrock's still fighting.
So he comes back in, and me being me went, it's nice to meet you. Just shut down completely. Like, I can't do this. I can't talk.
Dude, Kyle's such a nice guy, though.
He was. Everybody there was so. I was about to say on it, but I wasn't trying to make a bad joke. But everybody there was freaking cool, grounded. Everybody just super friendly and inviting. The energy there was super special. And then you and Aaron have a great conversation. That's an exciting podcast.
I can't wait to get that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Aaron, if you're listening, we had some technical difficulties, and I'm sorry I didn't get it out by Christmas, but it's coming.
That's all right.
Yeah, we'll get it out next week.
We'll get it out. The book, Amazon. Go check it out.
Align Method by Aaron Alexander. It's a fucking awesome book.
Yeah.
It's really about movement, and the conversation we had was about a lot of things, but a lot of it was about movement, and that's kind of Aaron's specialty. He's like my movement guru. I mean, he's like, I follow people who do meditation, who do conscious breathing, who do religious stuff, who do movement, who do food, right?
Mm-hmm.
Aaron's the fucking movement master, as far as I'm concerned. Like that, when it comes to functional movement on a daily basis, his big thing is like floor culture, like get off your couch, get off your recliner, sit on the floor.
Get as comfortable at being uncomfortable as you can.
Yeah, really. And I love him for that. And he really is. He's a sweet guy. Best looking man I've probably ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And just shines from the heart out. He really does. He's a sweet guy.
Shout out to everybody at On It. Aubrey Marcus has a great podcast. Kyle Kingsbury, Kingsboo on Instagram, has a great podcast. Eric Godsey, I believe, is his name. The Myths That Make Us podcast is a great podcast. I fucking
love Eric Godsey. We're going to do a thing with he and Kyle. So Kyle Kingsbury and Eric Godsey both invited us back to do podcasts with them. Mm-hmm. So we'll be doing that and bringing that to you as soon as we get our feet under us this year, which we're doing.
Right.
But that'll be coming up here pretty soon.
It was a fascinating time.
Awesome visit. I don't know. I felt like we rolled up in there, and it was about 5 minutes in, and I realized we were not nearly fucking hot enough to be there.
That's exactly. Everybody is beautiful.
If I'm being honest, yeah.
Everybody is beautiful, and I'm talking men, women, and there's a gym separate to the offices.
Yeah,
and there's
it's a
people
huge
coming in
warehouse
and out,
with a gym.
covered in sweat with towels over them, and it's beautiful women, it's beautiful men. Every person in there, the space is beautiful. The humans that are inhabiting it are beautiful. And when I say beautiful, I don't mean like they had a really pretty face. I'm saying like, you ever seen like a statue of like a Greek god? Like how many abs does that person have? Is it weird that I'm trying to count? It's taking me too long, and now they're looking. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Was it Caitlin Howe comes in? She does a World Series of Poker hostess for ESPN. Yeah. She's very into unlocking Kundalini and does all of these programs and stuff.
Feminine empowerment.
They've all gone and done. Their drinking of the medicine. They've taken the ayahuasca, and they're walking around with a perspective on life that's different, and their energies are crazy.
Their energy is fucking powerful.
It's insane watching them interact, and just standing in the corner like Rumpelstiltskin. It made me want. I was like, fuck, I gotta start jogging. I need to go work out. Like,
yeah. Well, I've been working out. Whichever. I don't know if you listen to this podcast much, like I started working out last year. Working out, exercising, working out, stretching, yoga, diet, nutrition, water, everything. My whole fitness program has changed, drastically January of last year. And it was really almost, probably 90% of that was spurred or initiated because of Aaron Alexander reaching out to me through Instagram. And he was like, hey, I like your shit. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I went and looked at his shit, and I was like, oh, wow, I like your shit too. You're all about nature and breathing and Kundalini and stretching and, and just fitness. And I was like, oh, this is fucking cool. So, I got on my shit. And after working out for like, almost a year, I was like, I'm in the best physical and mental shape of my life. I'm like, I'm going to come up in this bitch and feel right at home. Nope. Nope.
And you were, I'm going to be fair, you were and are in great shape compared to where I saw you 3.5-4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But yeah, you looked as fat as I looked.
Yeah, so
when you walk in there, and I looked even worse.
But we had the best fucking time.
Everybody's lovely, and there was no judgment because we weren't like super fit, beautiful people. Everybody's wonderful.
They were awesome people. They were so sweet. And again, you're hanging out with UFC fighters and professional athletes and all kinds of stuff, and they were incredible people. The sexuality in that place though is just it's fuming. Mm-hmm. It's just there's fumes of sexuality, there's pheromones in the air, particularly between we had this encounter where there was a couple of people. I don't know if
We don't have to say who.
Yeah. But we're in the room hanging out, and it's one of the most beautiful men we've ever met, and then one of the most beautiful women we've ever met walks in the room, and they just stare at each other. And we're mid-conversation with this guy. Mid-conversation. We'll call him Baron. And we're talking to Baron, and
let's call her Cat.
Cat walks in the room. And she just stares at him, and I'm halfway through a sentence talking to
You
this
could
guy.
tell they hadn't seen each other in a minute. This was
an ongoing.
I missed you.
Yeah. It's an ongoing thing. Where have you been?
Right.
And
it's good to see you.
The temperature in the room goes up 2 degrees.
Right.
And like I said, he's halfway through a sentence when she walks in, and he just stops. You and I cease to exist in the room.
Yep.
And
I ceased to exist in my own world at that point in time.
You just get sucked into it, and it was like when the air pressure changes in an airplane or something, and your ears pop, and everything just gets weird.
Yeah, you talk about measurable energies, people's torus fields and stuff. Theirs was vibrating on such a level that we kind of like.
I felt a little bit awkward.
Yeah, we're both looking at our feet, just trying to. And then we get done with everything. We're packing up when this all happens, and we're driving down the road. And I bet we've been down the road for 45 minutes. And I was like, I felt uncomfortable.
God, man.
They weren't doing anything uncomfortable, but the energies in the room, and it was palpable. I mean, and you're talking about beautiful people, and I'm not trying to get into anything creepy or whatever, but I literally was like, I should look at my feet.
Yeah.
And I might need to go get some fresh air.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, a very, very interesting encounter for sure.
It was.
She leaves the room, and like he snaps out of it and turns back around and just picks up where he left off halfway through his sentence. And I'm like, it was like 1 minute of her jumping up and wrapping her legs around you, and we're just kind of chilling.
And now but did we not gonna address the? We're not. Okay,
we're not talking. Okay, what the fuck was that about? The fuck was that?
It was.
Don't you just keep going? Don't go back to where you were. Don't just start over where you left off. Like what just happened?
I need more friends like that.
Yeah. It was a great time. So we're definitely gonna get that podcast out to you. Aaron Alexander, man.
And the Onic crew, man. Shout out those. They have a great place to work. That was an exciting time.
Yeah, it was. And then we rolled into the holidays, and we it's been family time for a few weeks. You had a baby, and right after all that,
yeah.
And then December was just kind of a big. It was just a big.
Is it not still December? Everything's a blur.
I
everything's a blur. The problem that we had with our holidays is we enjoyed them as much as we could, but when you have a brand new baby in the middle of flu season, and the holidays tend to be. Everybody, let's get together in a room and cough and sneeze and fart and all of that. We were like, no, we're good. We're gonna pass the buck on Christmas this year, guys. We'll post pictures of the baby. You can see them from afar and stuff. And let me tell you, that causes conflict. People have their own agendas of what.
I was fucking irritated. I wanted to see the baby.
Yeah.
I got it though. I understood.
Yeah. And some people did. They got it. They were frustrated.
I was going to pull
fine.
some cat burglar shit and break into your house.
And then some people didn't get it, and it became a problem. But we survived them. We made it to a couple of little get-togethers.
Everybody getting along during the holidays with you guys?
Oh, no.
What do you mean?
I love my family.
Everybody's got to get along.
I love my wife's family. My in-laws are great. But, yeah, I mean, the cultural toxicity behind what like Christmas and Thanksgiving is supposed to be is you always find like a patriarch or a matriarch of a family or whatever, and it's their view of what it should be. And then as you start to, because I'm 32, my wife just turned 30, and now we have 2 children, and we've started to really cultivate our life together and become, our own individual with our own little family and our own ideas that are juxtaposed to, say, our parents, right? Then all of a sudden there's conflict that comes in because there's this generation of people that go, no, this is what this is. This is Christmas. And it's Jesus' birthday. We got to get together because Jesus
little
was
9-pound, 6-ounce baby Jesus.
Yeah. And you just kind of, how do I address this? You're right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus.
We're from, Texas. We're from the South. Most
Belt.
Everybody we know is Southern Baptist down here, and it's Jesus' birthday. But if you have any sort of knowledge
Yeah.
about what Christmas really is, it's not what everybody thinks.
different thing.
And yeah, it gets confusing because your family wants to. They're like, no, we need the tree. We need to get together
Yeah.
and we need to pray
Get
over
that
baby
pagan
Jesus.
tree.
And yeah, and we just kind of went, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
You know, we put a tree up in our house. Our
Sure.
kids, Santa Claus came, for my 10-year-old and all that stuff. But then we also just had our things. We're like, no, we're good. We're going to pass on some of these Christian traditions. Not that we're not Christians or spiritual in that way, but all of a sudden, conflict left and right.
Yeah.
With people.
I think
that
a lot of the conflict came because you didn't cut the end of your kid's dick off.
That's true. And we did not circumcise my son because we decided, what is that exactly?
We couldn't figure out why we should.
Yeah.
why are we doing a thing?
Let me think here. I'm going to mutilate a part of my kid's body, but I don't really know why. Let me do a quick Google search.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there's glands. It's protecting them. It's going to naturally take care of itself. And then this was the way the human body was intended in its purest form. Okay, yeah. We're not going to do
good.
that. We're okay. Oh, God.
Good. That went over like a Led Zeppelin.
Dude, it was the apocalypse.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, people not talking to us for weeks.
I don't know that he can get into heaven unless you cut his dick off. At least the end of it.
Oh. He'll be
Got
all
it.
right. He'll be all right.
He'll be good.
He'll be good.
He'll be good.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's not a good thing.
Yeah. It's funny. It's just like the way that people view holidays like Christmas and Thanksgiving and their cultural representation of it. Something like the way that we're raising our kid and the things that we want to do that aren't to the societal norm of our little cultural pocket in the South.
Yeah.
Has really been a point of contention, and I feel like everybody out there has to deal with like toxic relationships with their family. Not everybody loves their mom
And the
and
holidays
dad.
are like a petri dish for stagnant
Yeah,
fucking energy.
let's all just surround ourselves with each other.
Get all of our blanketed traumas out and onto one table in
Yeah.
one room.
And let's pretend like it's not there as long as we can until somebody's had one too many eggnogs, Or
That's the best part.
Yeah.
the best part.
Sometimes if it's not you, if it's
somebody's gonna do
if
it.
it's Uncle Joe and
Yeah.
Aunt Mary getting at it after that, and you're just watching from afar.
You'd be a spectator, sipping sipping a rum
this
and
is
coke.
fun.
Yeah.
But if it's you, it's terrible. And everybody, I mean, I don't know anybody who's like an adult with children who doesn't,
Have some bit of that going on.
just wake up Christmas morning like, fuck, I gotta go do this thing. It's terrible.
Yeah.
We should stop doing it. We do Friendsgiving.
Yeah, we love it.
And
It's the best.
Friendsgiving, guess what? Didn't work out this year to be around the holiday times. And,
It's
I
gonna
was
be like Friends Valentine's Day. For
right,
us,
right,
maybe.
right. But it's still Friendsgiving. We pick it because
Friends
it's
Patrick's Day.
available. Friends Patrick's Day. I
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, I like that. We could all do the green thing.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Different menu, too.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Oh, no shit.
But it's a non-forced holiday that is just simply about getting together with loved ones and having a good time. But these other ones, they're forced, man. They cause stress.
They're obligatory.
I guarantee you, there's people that wake up with like shingles breaking out over the stress of having to deal with their family. I mean, a lot of these people you're forced to go and travel to 2 different places at one time to see some aunt that you haven't seen since Christmas last year.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. It's just, I don't know. It's toxic, the whole thing. I love Christmas and in certain regards, it's wonderful. I like the holiday times. I hate Christmas music, but that forcing together, to celebrate baby Jesus being born, well, it's not really accurate.
Yeah.
And so if you just go off the basis of why you're telling me that I got to come do this thing I don't want to do, and then you're telling me because of the information that you're providing is wildly inaccurate.
Yeah.
Because Christmas, let's be honest here, guys. Jesus was not born on December 25th.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to believe that, right? I mean, the Bible said that he died at 33 and a half years old.
Mm-hmm. When
When did he die? Easter. When's Easter? Right? It's what 3 months into the year? 4 months into the year?
Yep. So
he was born a couple months before the end of the previous year.
September, October?
September, October.
Closer to Halloween? Ooh.
Ooh,
Yeah, let's
spooky-
not say that to
spooky
my
Jesus.
father. Jesus Christ. It was closer to Halloween.
Closer to Halloween.
Oh, that'd go
you-
over real
yeah.
well.
Jesus. Yeah. No, I just, in our house, we kind of, we like the Jesus story. That's great. But like, really, it's, to us, we're straight up sun worshipers, particularly, I guess, as the patriarch of the house, I'm a sun worshiper.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley's still, very much a big fan of Jesus, maybe even more so than I am, but I'm a big Jesus fan, right?
Yeah, nobody's hating on Jesus.
Yeah, nobody's hating on Jesus. She's got a different relationship with Jesus than I do, but I'm a full-blown fucking sun worshiper, right? And so for me, the understanding of astrotheology and knowing where the Jesus story, I mean, Jesus has 12 disciples. He's the sun in the middle of the zodiac is what that is.
Mm-hmm.
And that story has been told for a long time, many different ways. It's astrotheology. And to some people, like, they get defensive about that, but to me, like, that does not lessen the importance or the impact or the reverence that we can have for these holidays, or for Jesus for that matter, because he's an icon, right? Whether he was a physical man or a physical mushroom, or he just was a story that they made up 70 years after he supposedly died to create an icon around an idea that we should want to embody.
There you go.
And that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America, right? I'm thinking about, I love in Man of Steel with Henry Cavill, and Russell Crowe's talking to him, and he's like, you will give them an ideal to strive for, and then they will join you in the sun. And if you look at all the sun...
Superman. You said Captain America. Superman.
Oh, yeah. Captain America. Man of Steel, Superman.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think I was about to say Captain America because he's such an idealistic dude.
Right.
Good, virtuous man. But I switched gears without mentioning it. Yes. Man of Steel, Henry Cavill. If you watch Man of Steel and see all the sun iconography,
Mm-hmm.
he'll come floating down with his arms out like Jesus on a cross with the sun behind him. Like it's clear sun symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
And clear Jesus symbolism, but you give them an ideal to strive for, and then they'll join you in the sun. And for his, if you listen to a lot of Christian music, they refer to Jesus as the sun. We grew up with Mercy Me, the Christian band, right? It's who we listened to, and we knew them personally. And like I think about that song, "I Can Only Imagine," which is like one of the most famous Christian songs of the '90s or of all time.
All time.
And he says, like, I'll find myself standing in the sun. And it's all this sun symbolism and all of this stuff. The sun is one of the most important things that we have, and we have to have the sun. It gives us warmth, and it gives us the trees. It gives us weather. We couldn't have the earth or any life on it if it weren't for the sun.
Mm-hmm.
The sun's what created the gravity that formed the earth from the dust that it was made from. So for anyone to get upset about understanding, right, the way that astrotheology works, is to miss what the awesomeness of astrotheology to me, because human beings have been making up stories about the sun and the 12 signs of the zodiac for thousands of years, way back past the far reaches of Hinduism, back to the times of Atlantis or whatever. And astrology is a cool thing. You take astrology, the sun, 12 zodiac signs. It's really a breakdown of human psychology. You turn those different zodiac signs and all that stuff into, and the planets themselves, into gods, and then you create stories around how psychology works. You turn it, and then it becomes mythology.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what mythology is. We were talking about this. You had a great example for me. We were watching Joseph Campbell's series, and you were talking about Moses going up onto the mountain.
Yeah.
But the mountain was in his own head. It wasn't actually him climbing up to a mountain. It was seeking knowledge, and then this beautiful symbolism that came in, and it broke my brain, and I went, oh yeah, you're right. And most people think of it in literal terms, but what we're talking about is greater truths in life.
Yeah.
That the human race and human beings on this planet have all recognized in different iterations for the entire existence of. But it's you can put them all together and line them up and find parallels to where there's the truth that
greater
comes
and
out of
deeper.
it. Yeah. But everybody's got a different way of accessing that. The Bible's just one of those things.
Yeah.
The Quran's another one of those things. There's a million different ways. Greek mythology. There's a million different stories that are all kind of telling you pretty much the same thing, and they all can be traced back into astrology.
Yeah, it's all astrotheology. I mean, almost every single religion that you can think of, the major ones particularly, the well-organized ones, I guess I should say, right? There's a lot of tribal, religions that are like very isolated, like little independent cultures and stuff, like the Bushmen of the Kalahari, and have the tribesmen of Indonesia or Papua New Guinea or whatever, that are not astrotheological, but like what you might consider to be the more advanced and scientific ones, if you know how to look at them right, Hinduism, all the monotheisms, the Judaism, the Quran, or Islam and Christianity, Zoroastrianism, Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Norse mythology. It's all sun worship. It's all sun worship. And all the gods are named after the planets. And all of, the figureheads of that religion have like 12 disciples around them, or the 12 gods of Olympus. And Olympus is, of course, our mind. It's the pineal gland or whatever. And so, to me, I grew up a Christian. Maybe I've never really said this before, like, just to make this concise and short. I grew up a devout Christian of my own accord. I wasn't forced into religion. My parents did never go to church. I've never been in church with my family, hardly. But I went to church of my own accord because I had questions about the existential, the metaphysical, and became a devout Christian.
As all 10-year-olds should, by the way.
As all 10-year-olds should. But in my most devout times, at 18 years old, playing in a Christian band or, playing in a church band or whatever, at my most devout, I was nowhere near as devout as I am today. Nowhere near. And I couldn't be, because my understanding of the existential or of the metaphysical, of the deeper and greater truths that reside within all the mythologies and the common threads that weave them all together, I didn't have that, And think about what like the word appreciate means, like to understand the value of.
Yes.
You can't appreciate a diamond ring that, your partner got you if you don't know it's a diamond, or you don't know what a diamond is, or you don't know what gold is. Like you have to know about a thing intimately. The more intimately you understand a thing, the more intimately you can appreciate it.
Beautifully put. Yeah. Yeah,
100%. And so, it just occurred to me a minute ago as I'm saying this and looking at my arms. Like I've got almost a complete left arm sleeve tattoo that I probably didn't have the last time you guys saw a podcast. True. Just now occurred to me.
Yeah.
So I had a part of it probably. But I'm just thinking about this. I've got these gods tattooed all over my arm. Different ones, Ganesha and Buddha and Poseidon and Thoth, and I've got a zodiac tattoo and an Eye of Horus on the inside of my arm, and these are things that are deeply important to me. More important to me than Jesus or God or anything ever could have been when I was the most devout Christian that I could be, right? Someone who was living by the word and walking in accordance with the teachings of the Bible as I understood them. So now whenever I look at Christmas and I say it's silly, well, it's not silly. I get why people think it, but like, if there was a Jesus, he wasn't born on Christmas. But just based on the Bible, what it says, he wasn't born on Christmas, so it's a little bit silly to maybe celebrate it that way at that time. That was always a pagan sun. That's when they worshiped the sun god. Sun god, son of God. I guess they figured it was the same thing. So when I think about Christmas, it's a very important holiday to me, and it's a time to celebrate the sun, to celebrate the renewal of the earth. It's people may or may not know, just like Jesus died and rose after 3 days, that's what happens on the winter solstice, is that the sun actually stops on the horizon because the earth wobbles back and forth, and then the sun goes down, and it moves across the horizon every day of the year. And then it moves back, and then it moves back, and moves back. And then on the winter solstice, it stops. And for 3 days, it appears to rise in the same place, and then it starts to move back. And so the sun dies, rises again after the third day. And then, so this is all astrotheology. It doesn't mean it's any less important to me or any less beautiful to me. And in fact, even with my kids who understand astrotheology, and they understand, they go to church with their mom and her family and stuff like that sometimes, and they went to a Christian school when they were younger and stuff. Christmas is way cooler, I think, to them, because it's not just Santa Claus and presents. It's like, man, this is a special day where the sun does a really special thing, and a lot of people celebrate it for a lot of different reasons, and it's a really cool thing. It's a really neat thing. But I don't have the frankly, I don't have the problem you have of going to, or not the problem, but the situation where I'm going to like some in-laws or my family, and everybody's kind of on the baby Jesus train.
Right. Right.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, you've educated and accepted and walked into a role, and we're kind of two sides of that same coin. It's something I'm working on and have been for about 3 years now. Is becoming my own individual, growing spiritually, mentally, physically, all of these different things, and cultivating my own spirituality, my own culture in my life. And you've done the same thing, and I've kind of followed trace. Like we say, I'm about 10 months behind your journey in a lot of ways, and we're both, I'm coming up on a landmark of this journey, and you go, oh, I know exactly where you're at, and you've always got this. But your family and my family just had very different levels of acceptance to essentially we're doing very similar work in our lives.
Yeah.
You just happen to be pretty lucky with your family, which is also my family now.
Yeah.
I mean,
My
I'm
family's
blessed
yours.
to be
They're fucking great.
a part of all of that. But then, not everybody out there is going to have that.
Yeah.
There's really no solution to that problem either. It's
it's
recognition and acceptance.
Accept it, love them anyway, have a good time. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people. I mean, like you said, I'm super blessed to have the family that I have. Doesn't mean we're fucking perfect, because we fight, we have problems, and everything else. I had some issues of my own this Christmas season, as you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was minimal and it was fleeting, and like you said, through my acknowledgement and acceptance of that issue with this one particular member of my family, it was like, all right, fuck it, it's fine,
Right.
not a big deal, not going to impact me, not a big deal. A lot of people don't have that. There's a lot of people just, what I would say is look for your soul tribe, look for the people that you can really vibe with. Social media is a great place to just find community and stuff like that. And I don't mean necessarily just meeting people on social media, but look for, do the things that you're interested in. This is like kind of a big important point that I guess I didn't intend to make in this discussion today, but like, go do the shit that you like doing.
Mm-hmm.
Go to music festivals, go to concerts, go to art exhibits, go to museums, go do the things you like to do. If you like to lift weights, go lift weights. If you know what I mean, go do the things you like to do. Don't just think about it, be about it, because that's where you're going to meet the people, and the people that you want to vibe with, the people that you're going to get along with.
Look the way you want to look, dress the way you want to dress, act the way you want to act, because you will attract inevitably people of like-mindedness, and sometimes they need a physical symbol or signal to know that they can approach, and depending on where you're at, sometimes that's easier said than done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of times it's really, really difficult to get started, right? If you got a job that really isn't conducive to you being your truest, authentic self, it can be a journey to get there.
Right.
It
can.
It's I kind of jumped off. I just decided I didn't want to be locked into this sort of corporate America world that we live in. We work at an IT company, right? It's what we do. And I'm fortunately in a position here where I can have a fucking tattoo on my whole arm and my hand, and some of our clients aren't going to like that.
I shaved and cut my hair before my first day working for this company because I assumed I was going to be walking into this whole different thing than what it was.
Yeah.
We're here now.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. We want this company to be a place where people can live in truth, because authenticity is magnetic. And we're going to bring more people into our little gravity sphere here, into our Taurus field. We're going to suck more people into our vortex that we want to be with, that we're vibing with, the people who resonate with our frequency. In other words, you're going to have resonance instead of dissonance. You're going to have harmony instead of disharmony with the people and situations and experiences around you. So we do that by starting on the inside and letting it spiral out through our relationships and interactions. But that comes with, like you said, it's your beard, it's your fucking long-ass hair, it's the way that we dress, it's whether it's tattoos, the way you dress, hair, beard, the energy that you emit, whatever it is, the more you live in truth, the more authentic you are, the more magnetic you're going to be, the more you're going to pull people in.
Right.
And that's, been the sort of the story. We, over the holidays, we went up to Connecticut we went up to Connecticut and spent time with Uncle Tim and Aunt Linda, who we just talked about earlier. and Jeff Sullivan and his family. So we went up there and spent a week and brought the kids up there. The kids have never been. So Ashley and I have been up there like 4 times in the last year, and the kids hadn't been. But they've heard all about Tim and Linda. They got to meet them finally. And this is like a group of people who, I won't retrace the story again, but there's a crazy story about how we all became associated with each other and met each other and everything. But it came down to, A, know thyself.
Yes.
Right?
That's a big portion of this.
Know thyself, right? Or as I used to say, explore, enlighten, evolve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Know thyself, figure out who you are, and then walk in truth, and then you're going to generate that gravity. You're going to run into people. And we met this whole group of people in this very small, remote little area of Connecticut. I'm going to say remote, but I mean, it's a small town. It's a very small town in the middle of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
And, now we have some of the closest relationships we have of anyone in the world is up in this same little area. And these people are not even really, like, they're not family with each other. It's like Jeff and his whole family didn't know Tim and Linda before we went up there.
Right.
Will Evans, this amazing musician who you guys have got to look up. Go look up Will Evans on YouTube. Will Evans, Sugar Shack.
Well, and you met one over social media. You met one directly by
Right.
just happening to be in that place. And then the other one, he walked out on stage and we had a concert that we were at in Dallas, and then come to find out they're all within 5 minutes of each other.
They're all right there in each other's backyards. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
We're at a cabin in Connecticut visiting somebody in, a different part of Connecticut, and come back a week later and there's another guy from that same area. It's crazy. But you have to understand this shit actually, it's real. It works. You create a gravity whenever you're living in truth and you're pursuing the things you want to do and you're going to the things you want to go to. And we had like the best time ever, man. The kids, Tim and Linda, we all of us, and we went to Will's show. We went and saw Will Evans in concert, and it was fucking cool, man. Jet got to get up and sing.
Oh, let's say your son sang on stage with.
Yeah,
That's
my
incredible.
9-year-old got pulled up on stage. Will pulled him up there, and he got to sing with him, and that was like this is like Jet's favorite musician in the world.
Oh,
so it was huge for him, and so that was kind of how our holiday went. We connected with family. We connected with friends.
Yeah.
We had a great time. And
You learn a lot through these processes, whether they're good or bad. Sounds like your holiday was a little bit smoother. Mine was rough, but at the
I didn't
end
have a
of
brand new baby either.
Yeah, well, you said it the best. Having a baby, and I just didn't understand it till I was living it. It's like dropping an emotional grenade into your life.
Yeah.
Because you're an emotional place that you've never been or haven't been into in a long time. So's your spouse, the child that's learning life, and then everybody that has their wants and needs and all the good and the bad that comes with that. It is a little bit of just an implosion or an explosion of everybody wanting to be there for you, but also wanting to fulfill their own internal needs. And me, just doing the best I can. It was an interesting time, but you can grow and reflect, and it's conversations like this and calling a spade and being aware of these things, talking about them, having an outlet where you can discuss and not feel like you're the only person that has to go through these types of things.
Dude, you're so not.
It's where you grow.
Wait till after this podcast, you're gonna get fucking 100 people that are like, dude,
I hope so.
I'm there with you.
I hope
Guys,
so.
if you're listening to this, we're there with you.
Yeah.
You're not the only ones. But the way out is to live in truth and to, not as you've done. And I don't want to denigrate anybody's family or anything, because your family is awesome. I know your family and your wife's family. Everybody's good. We just don't always vibe in the same place, right? So, but the point is, a lot of people just go, damn, man, my family is, maybe they're not as cool as your family or my family, everybody, and they're like, fuck, this is all I got. My life sucks.
Mm-hmm.
No, man, that's not all you got. There's a whole community of people out there that have a big open heart and that have, maybe different views on the world than the people who raised you or the people who you share biology with.
Right.
And I think that's the one thing I would want to leave people with when we're talking about the holidays, is that your family's great. Love them and appreciate them to the extent that they allow you to love and appreciate them.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, toxic family relationships are not a thing we're going to get into right now, but love and appreciate them to the extent they'll let you, and then have proper boundaries,
healthy boundaries,
and live in truth, and then start creating your own gravity, where you start sucking people into your orbit, and that's when things got really cool for me in my life.
That's when the magic happens.
That's when the magic really does happen.
It'll have the opposite effect of what you think it is going to. The first step, you're like, this is gonna not, and then everything starts to line up. The more you're authentically and honestly walking into your own truth, it'll have the opposite effect of what you think it will.
100%. And so we slid through the holidays. We made it.
Yes.
We survived. It's 2020, and we have all kinds of cool things in the wings for everybody now. So
it's the beginning of a new year. It's the beginning of all new things. It's a great time, and it's a great time to have this conversation talking about walking in truth and being your most authentic self. It's January.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Dude, start now. If there's anything that's just been kind of weighing on you, this is the time to go, well, it's January. Let's see what I look like in July. Make some changes.
Set some goals.
Yeah. It's a great time to do it.
I've never been a goal setter. Like I've accomplished some things in my life that I'm proud of, but I never set that goal. I was always sort of just like trudging along every day, and I wouldn't give up, or I'd just bang my head against the wall till the wall fell down or whatever. But I'm actually going to try to set some goals this year. I can't remember offhand what all of them are, but I want to create I want to create some music. I want to create some art, and just do some things with the podcast and whatever else. Set some goals. Probably not a bad idea.
It never is.
It's not a bad idea.
And make a physical manifestation of your goals. Don't just tell yourself in your head.
Write it down, huh?
Write it down. Get a picture of it. Put it on the fridge.
Yeah.
Tell a loved one that's your intention. Make it. Manifest it in a physical way, whether it's a conversation you have with somebody, or you're just writing it down and you're constantly walking past it when you're going through your kitchen. It's really easy to tell yourself something in your head and then let it fleet away in the busyness and the life. But I think physically bringing it out and setting it down, or making an image, or even just passing that knowledge on of your intention to somebody else is an important thing, because it helps. You're not alone in that anymore.
Have some accountability and some support. Accountability and support.
Choose who you pick.
Positive people. Accountability, right? Which is what you need whenever you're down or whenever you're falling off the rails or whatever. And then the support and the encouragement, right? So these are the things that you need that'll keep you going. One of the big things that, we've been working on this for close to 2 years now is the online store.
Yes.
And it's been sitting on the 1 yard line for 3 or 4 months now. We've just had a lot going on, but that's probably my number one goal for this spring, if not sooner, is by spring. Maybe day one of spring, I want to be able to launch the online store. And so we've got this online store we've been working on for a year and a half, actively. I said a year and a half. It's really almost been 2 years now.
Yeah.
March of 2017 or something like that.
Put it into perspective, it would be like a box store or a grocery store that somebody built in your town, and it's completely built. It's bricked.
Yeah.
It's got a sign out front, but
it's decorated.
Yeah, it's ready to go. It's ready to
open. It's got the lighting up.
But we just
all the shelves are empty.
Yeah, we just gotta.
It is
that close.
It's a beautiful store. We bought the property. We built the thing out. We framed it. It's got decorations in it. It's got nice lighting. It's got the parking lot's got stripes on it.
Yeah.
The carts are in the front foyer there, and there's just nothing on the shelves, or there's not enough on the shelves.
Right.
And so it's wokeshop.com. Funny name. But it's something that we wanted to make memorable, easy for people to remember.
And you know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
It's
kind of tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get it. We throw around woke. It's kind of a funny, stupid word, but it's I wanted it to be memorable, and you kind of know what you're getting into. Wokeshop.com, and even though the name's kind of tongue in cheek, there's a ton of heart and emotion and effort and energy that we've put a lot of people actually at this point have put into this thing to make it a thing, and it's something that we're just going to keep growing. So it's essentially like a conscious online Cabela's, like a conscious online marketplace,
Right.
and for clothing, for jewelry, for candles, for arts and crafts, for essential oils and crystals and herbs and all kinds of stuff. And we really want this to come from a place of community, where we actually have people in our community who are contributing to this thing. So people who are giving us designs and artwork and all this stuff, who are making candles or whatever.
Carefully cultivated
Yes.
group of individuals that we're going to push
Yeah.
to funnel through this store. It's not just going to be generic.
Yeah. Very, 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 very select group of people we have relationships with, and so we're finally there. So that's like the big thing for me is if we can get this thing launched by spring, I'm going to be really happy. But obviously we've got the podcast. We're running an IT company. We've got a lot of things going on, but it's a big part of it. Not to mention, still trying to keep our sanity and not just be working all the time.
Right.
Which
And that's
can be a problem sometimes.
important part of where we're at and why we are where we are is because we can try to do our best to balance that out.
Yeah.
I could be a workaholic tomorrow, but I choose not to be. In fact, sometimes it would be easier to just engulf myself in this constantly, but would it be as rewarding?
Yeah, you brought up something the other day about like Dwayne the Rock Johnson, how he like eats like a saint 6 days a week, and then he just eats like 8 large pizzas and a plate of mashed
I
potatoes.
love his cheat meal photo.
Gallon
every
of
time.
tequila.
It's impressive.
Yeah, and it becomes reward dieting instead of restriction dieting. And I love that concept. You said that the other day, and I saw that his tequila is coming out in March. I thought about that, and I was like, you know what? I said I wasn't going to drink alcohol for all of 2020, but I will be goddamned if I am not going to go get a fucking bottle of The Rock's tequila. He's like one of my favorite people in the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a bottle of that tequila, and I was like, you know what? Maybe that'll be my thing. Is like I'll reward diet myself with alcohol.
Right.
It's like I don't like the way it makes me feel. I don't like the after effects and all that stuff. But like you can have a good time on some alcohol if you control yourself. But rewarding myself in that way, doing the same thing with other stuff. I think that concept was a neat model for me to understand.
Yeah.
Whenever you brought it up,
Well,
Netflix.
we just have had so much trouble over the years of trying to find a way to change our healthy lifestyle, and you always find in any of these diets or exercise regimens and stuff, you'll tend to see more and more people going, "This is the way," and
This is the way.
and once you start this, you can't ever do this again, and that's just gonna set yourself
that.
up for failure because
Yeah.
everybody.
No
is
one's gonna never
imperfect.
do this again.
Right. It's just a much better way to discipline yourself and reward yourself consciously
Yeah.
instead of rewarding yourself for tiny victories all the time, which is like eating Little Debbie's every day of the week if we're talking on a diet or whatever.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
like, but if you let yourself, if you like love oatmeal, Little Debbie's, if you allowed yourself once a week to have one of those or even 2 of those, but you're working out regularly and eating, a balanced diet,
Yeah.
they're not going to hurt you.
That's it.
And that you can apply that. You can turn that into anything in life.
That's it. And for me, like, junk food was one of the biggest ones. Still is, although, we're 2 weeks into the year and, like, junk food's not been that big of a problem for me. Now, like, the first week and a half or so, I was like, fuck, this sucks, man. I just want some junk food. It's not been that big of a problem. One of the interesting things that happened to us is, like, we live out in the boonies, out in the country, and our internet's like satellite
Yes.
internet. So our satellite internet took a shit on us, and like the company that was providing it, like they just went through the floor. They're not really there. And so we're like, oh my God, we're scrambling to like get internet again. We get great cell service out there, we have an AT&T tower uncomfortably close. So it's like, we're good on that. But I was watching a lot of Netflix late at night and totally got out of the habit of reading. And it just came from these fucking people at Netflix and everywhere else making so many good shows. and it's like crack, and you can't stop.
Yeah, we did that. We did that with Disney Plus.
Yeah.
You know, got to Disney Plus, and then Netflix is another one. It's just, reward yourself with good TV, bad TV. We were diehard Game of Thrones.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, us and everybody that we have. You know,
Mhm.
we almost built I've built relationships with people based on our love for you know, Game of Thrones, and then that left an empty void that we've filled, especially with lots of trash.
Right.
TV, good stuff and bad stuff alike,
Yeah.
but just watching way too much TV. I know we both just binged through
Oh my God.
the #1 television show right now, which is surprising after watching all the way through The Witcher.
Yeah. We watched The Witcher. You got me to watch it. Well, you told me it was good, I think, and then I saw who I thought was Kit Harington, who plays Jon Snow, on Instagram. Turns out it wasn't him. It's a fan page with 4 million followers,
Oh wow,
which is odd. Apparently, he doesn't have an Instagram.
sounds like a Kit Harington thing.
I was
Not a
surprised.
social media guy.
Yeah, I was surprised by it. So I think he doesn't have any social media, but whatever the case, I saw on the Kit Harington Instagram or whatever that he made a post about The Witcher, or they made a post, and said that The Witcher was like the new era Game of Thrones. So I went and picked up The Witcher that day. I was like, well, if Kit Harington, I thought it was Kit Harington says this is the new Game of Thrones, I better go check it out. And now I've finished it. Now we can talk about it. And this is just for the audience. This is just going to be part of your life now as an audience member of the show.
Yeah.
We talk about movies. We talk about books. We talk about shows.
This is the most watched show in the world right now.
Yeah.
So spoiler warnings if you haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't seen this, turn this off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go watch it.
Skip
and then-
ahead to a different time.
Yeah. And it's not an in-depth, crazy review here, but we do want to talk about it. We wanna
Yeah.
get topical.
We talk about it all the time,
Yeah.
you know. So I turned it on with no other idea in mind, with no real idea in mind of what it was at all, and immediately was like, this guy's personality is fucking obnoxious. His voice is obnoxious. I don't like it.
A white wig on.
He's
Henry
got a
Cavill's-
white wig on.
dark-haired. You know.
Yes.
This is Superman, but he's in this weird white wig.
And he's scowling. He's like intentionally scowling, and he's talking like this. He's like, sounds like Christian Bale playing Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is really, really bad. And I've been watching Vikings, and we watched Game of Thrones, and they're much darker and sort of grittier, and they have like the blue gray filter on the screen.
Yeah.
And so they're very the tone and theme of like my two favorite shows that I've been watching, Game of Thrones and Vikings. This is very different.
It is.
If you have kids, if you ever watched like Once Upon a Time, it almost feels more like that to me. Maybe that's kind of a little bit of an overstep, but it's a much more jovial, lighter, colorful, giddy, hee. I couldn't get into it at first. It took me a minute. By the end of season 1, I'm in. I like it.
Well, you
Feels a little
remember
sugary.
when I brought it up to you, I said, I'm watching this show called The Witcher, and you hadn't even, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I've seen that. And I was like, well, I'll let you know. I'm on episode 4. I'll let you know if it's any good, because I'm still very not, like, I
You
just
did
could
say
not
that.
decide. And I have a policy with television shows. If I'm going to give episode 1 a shot, I'm not going to make a decision on it until 3 or 4 episodes in, because if it's a series, they're going to take their
It takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it hooked me at the end of episode 3, I believe, and you did not believe me when I was like, just wait till the episode where he fights the
aborted baby
aborted
fetus.
baby fetus.
Yeah.
It's cursed. And you were like, oh.
I
yeah.
really thought you were making a joke.
Yeah. No, there's legit
Like just throwing it out there.
a scene like, the scene in Alien where he opens his big alien mouth and the little alien mouth comes out by her face, and it's like slimy or whatever, and there's this guy tied up, and here comes this umbilical cord into the shot.
Oh my God.
And then it proceeds to eat
Yeah.
the guy, and we press on, and it's a full-fledged horror scene. I mean, It has every.
It was like
element.
a scene from Alien.
Yeah. It was. You're like, fuck. I don't like this the way the thing looks, and I don't like what it's doing, and this is disgusting.
Yeah. Moves in a really awkward.
Yeah.
This is an aborted baby fetus that has grown into the size of an 8 foot tall.
Bigger than Henry Cavill.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a big guy.
Looking like something out of Alien or something like that. It's a horrifying thing with an umbilical cord, and it climbs the ceiling in a really awkward, disjointed way. It's fucking
right.
It's pretty serious.
And I get this horror element, and I'm like, okay, but the main plot, we have Yennefer, and then we have
super hot,
The Witcher,
super hot.
Yeah.
Love her.
Yeah.
She reminds me. You know what she looks like to me? Is like the chick that would like give hand jobs in high school, and nobody else would, but she was like a 6. And she wasn't quite hot enough to not put out. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You weren't exactly
you know
on board with Yennefer at first, though. But she did look like a girl I knew in high school that dipped. She's contorted with this huge thing in the side of her mouth, and I'm all this way through the season, and Adam's like, I'm not really sure. You told me the Hunchback girl, and I'm like, just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait. And then another wonderful thing that is so bizarre about this show is that what actually happens on the show is so unbelievable and so unlike anything written into another show. I said, oh, wait till she has this sex scene. And she's all like hunchbacked and completely naked, and there's about 40 people just standing around watching her.
Bizarre.
And you were like, okay.
Yeah. I thought that was a joke too.
Yeah, not a joke.
Yeah, that was real.
It happens.
Yeah, but she was making those people with her mind. Is that right?
I'm
pretty sure. I went back and saw it again. I think I caught it the second time. I think she was doing magic. And that was a thing, because he later, the dude kind of picked at her. He's like, yeah, you can only have sex whenever people are watching or something. And anyway, go back and check it out. But I think it was her creating them magically.
Well, we're going to have to rewatch it, because the thing that this series really does amazingly is confuses you in a way that you're intrigued enough to stick around.
Yeah.
And then the last episode, I think, successfully goes, here, let me make sense of all of this. The very first scene in episode 1 is actually how the very first scene in the last episode starts, but instead of when they whisper into somebody's ear, you get to hear what they're saying.
Right.
And, it kind of it unfolds everything in that you're like, oh, shit, I've been watching this character's timeline, which is now, and this character's timeline, which is before The Witchers, but now they're caught up, and then The Witchers was taking place somewhere in between these two, and here we are, and we've met at a head, and everybody's stories have intertwined now, and where do we go from here? That was fascinatingly done. I had caught on to it a little bit, few little things here and there. He's picking up a picture of a set of children, and he says their name, but you had met this older gentleman, and then next episode later you see those children, and you're like, but wait, last episode that guy was grown and he was looking at a picture of him, now he's in a room with them. How I got really, really lost midway through, because I'm always trying to figure. I'm always constantly.
I'm so much simpler than you, which I love, because I can learn. I can listen to you and Guy talk about movies and just, listen to y'all geek out. I'm just glad that they threw in a really dope fight scene at the end of episode 1, because I probably
would have never made it.
I would have fucking never turned on episode 2.
Arguably,
they saved it.
One of the best fight scenes with a sword and like armored people.
It's
that
the
I've
best.
Seen in a long,
It's the
long,
best
long
medieval fight scene I've ever seen. I think the way that they video gamed out the choreography of that fight scene.
Yeah, successfully video game.
Feels like an Assassin's Creed fight scene. I never played The Witcher, but I assume maybe it's something like that.
Yeah, it's very similar. He's got the powers, so he's. I
love
his arm out
I love the
kind
little
of force push.
thing.
Yeah. No, and he does it well. And then with the cursed fetus, he does the spell inside the tomb to keep her from opening it and stuff. And he does he's got all these little vials, which you're going around like Zelda in the game as well, like collecting potions and stuff. And so when he's like about to like battle and he's not into it, he's like and he pulls out some
Yeah.
pops the cork on it, chugs it, and his eyes turn
Grabs
black.
turns out his 5-hour energy.
Yeah. So
Oh, what's up with the black eyes when he fights?
that is something to do with like what a witcher is.
Okay.
You know, when they're fighting demons.
Like
it's-
whenever a cat's in the window staring at a squirrel and he starts chattering and
Yeah.
getting all fucking weird.
That's exactly what it is. Because at the very first monster he fights, that big tarantula-looking lizard thing, his eyes are black, and then as he kills it, you know, they
fade
slowly
back.
start to fade back
Yeah.
to like bright yellow. They're
Well,
still weird.
All I know is like that first fight scene we got in episode 1 at the end of episode 1 was really badass. Saved the show for me. We never got another one.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you don't.
It's like my one
No,
thing is
you
like
get you get a great Doctor Strange-esque battle scene where there's this other mage that's got like a giant cockroach, and so Yennefer's trying to save this woman and her baby, and she's making portals.
Okay, I remember
And
that.
she's jumping through,
Yeah,
and he's
yeah,
chasing her down. It's not a battle scene,
Right,
but it
no,
was
that-
a great action scene.
It was a great action scene. Now there was there was even the big battles they had with the catapults and her blocking the fucking catapult meteor things. Like that was a really cool action scene. I just mean like I'm a fucking nerd for sword fights.
Yeah.
And for you to show me such an awesome sword fight at the end of episode 1, and then never give us a anything. There's the crappy thing for me is that like they had a couple of sword fights after that, and they weren't like that.
No.
And it worries me because I'm like, are we gonna? Was that a bullshit thing? And then now we're gonna get these, these half-ass sword fights. The rest, not half-ass, but they were nothing like that one.
Problem with television shows is they oftentimes use many different directors. You know.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So episode 1, I feel like they did that to appease video game players that are familiar and have played Witcher 1, 2, 3, and I played the last one that came out, Wild Hunt, and it's very similar to the combat style in there. And it was the best video game combat style, and I think they put that in there across this season, going, this could work.
Mm-hmm.
But now, I think it being one of the most popular scenes in the entire series, what we'll get moving forward is a little bit more implementation of that. They've got 7 series already in writing, scripts done, all the actresses are signed on, and Netflix is like, yes, go 6 more seasons. So I think this was a plethora of what could work. The story's good, but as far as elements of how do we connect this to the video game, there were things that did work, didn't work. That being one that I hope we see a whole lot more of.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So overall, I'm gonna rate this season.
Are we doing we doing 1 out of 10 here? Do a numerical?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before I give a rating, I got to say this. It's TV candy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's the story arc here. There's some neat elements of whatever, him and the girl reuniting. But like, I don't know though. I'm gonna give it a 7.
7?
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Flat rate?
Yeah, as far as a good cinema rating, 7. As far as being the kind of thing that I could watch if I was just shamelessly wanted to dumb out and just wanted to shut down all of my analytical faculties.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a great it's a great.
Well, for context of great scoring, since we've never done this, I think we could both agree that the closest thing to a perfect television series or season would be something like Game of Thrones season 1.
Peaky Blinders season 1.
Peaky Blinders season 1. Those are
Game of Thrones season 1.
9.8s right there.
100%.
They're verging on perfect.
Yeah.
So a 7 is, I think, a fair score for The Witcher. I go higher. I go like 7.5.
Okay.
Closer to an 8.
What did you like about it?
I really loved the time. I love the time.
You did
stuff.
like that time slip thing.
I really loved the use of magic in different forms and ways, and it didn't feel forced or super cheesy. The Porcupine Knight That was a
Yeah,
little bit
a little
like
bit
where I was
much.
like, okay, but everything else felt very natural in that
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
I felt like this is a place that
Good.
if I, could get on a ship and sail across the sea to, I would end up on this 7-continent island,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever, and it existed. So I love the world building. It's not perfect. It had a lot of flaws, but for me, that the way that they wrote that timeline and had me confused as somebody who's usually, I know the third act, I know how it ends. Oh, that's the killer.
Right.
That's how I watch TV. So it didn't spoil anything for me. Midway through, I knew something was up, but I couldn't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the exciting part, and I'm excited because there's 6 more seasons.
Yeah.
So I think they're setting up.
I got high hopes for season 2. I'll say this as my last thing to say about it is that if season 2 isn't good, I won't watch season 3. I'll be done.
Sure.
They got season 2 to make me a believer. I'd like to see a good sword fight, a la season 1 and season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see them sort of tighten up some of the dialogue a little bit. This little minstrel bard guy that follows him around has a lot of unnecessary chatter. It's not
Yeah.
that funny.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the Hobbits from The Hobbit.
Yeah.
The Hobbit movies, where the dialogue and all the giggly bullshit between the Hobbits was just not, a lot of it wasn't that funny to
Yeah.
me, and it was just annoying.
But in the game, you meet all these annoying side characters, and they're it's a good story. So get away from the fact that it was a video game. Quit giving me annoying side quest characters and stuff.
Yeah, because I never played the video game, so I just want to know whether or not the show is worth watching.
Yeah, see, no, I played the video game, so I had to leave my horse at the saloon and go fight a cursed baby fetus. Like, I had to do that in the game. Not specifically, but they
Yeah.
a
I get
very video game reference.
So in all fairness, yeah, you can't just serve me. We got to serve the video game players and the non-video game players. And
but they
everybody.
did that with season 1. Move away.
Yeah, okay.
Move away.
Then we're in agreement
Yep.
on that.
Yep.
So The Witcher, recommend? Yes, I guess so.
Oh, highly
7.5.
recommend.
Yeah,
It's definitely, what is it, 8 episodes? It's
8
totally,
episodes, hour
totally
long.
worth a good binge.
Good hour long.
Yep.
Thing. Yeah, so I recommend it as well. And we can probably end it on that. You want to grab some food?
Yeah. Sounds great.
If you guys are ever in Dallas and you want to eat some really fucking great food, there's a place called Ferah, Ferah, and they have Texas Mediterranean food. It's a blend. If you've ever been to Texas, you know that we have Tex-Mex, which is Texas spin using Texas spices and stuff on Mexican food. So Tex-Mex is its own thing. It's fucking great. This is Tex-Med, and as far as we know, it's the only Tex-Med place anywhere in the world.
Right.
And the chef's name is Barack. He's a friend of ours, and it's a beautiful place. It's one of our favorite restaurants anywhere.
I've lived here my whole life. I've eaten a lot of really good restaurants, and this is definitely one of the best things you can eat in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah, they're wonderful and good people, beautiful place, all that stuff. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for hanging in there and for waiting on the podcasts, and for hope you guys all had a good holiday. Hope everybody's New Year's going good. We wish y'all all the best. Remember, you can check out wayfinderpodcast.com. You can find everything you want to find there. Podcasts coming out soon with Jeff Sullivan, the amazing visionary artist, and Aaron Alexander, the movement guru, author of The Align Method. You guys can check out that book on Amazon. You can check him out at Align Podcast on Instagram. You can check out Jeff Sullivan on Instagram at Jeff Sullivan Art. And I'm Adam. This is JC. And this is Wayfinder Podcast. You guys, thanks for coming in. God bless. See you soon.